Hi, I am Tammy and I am Meditating Medium, and I am introducing you to my little schnauzer named Sophie because I'm going to share a story with you that happened a couple of weeks ago with her. I'll get right into the story. I typically take Sophie for a walk around the neighborhood in the afternoons pretty much every day, and in doing so, I meet all of the neighbors and their pets as well. Our pets always want to stop and kind of greet each other. And Sophie did something again that she typically does very often. She is okay with her getting close to the other dog and the dog even walking towards me. But as soon as I reach down to touch the other animal, she gets mad at the dog. She never gets mad at me. And so I was telling Charlie's dad, we know each other by the dogs. We don't necessarily keep up with our names. We just keep up with this is Oreo's mom, this is Charlie's parents, this is Sophie's parents. And so I was telling Charlie's dad, I said, it's very interesting to me that she often gets upset at the other dog, but she never gets upset at me. I don't really understand that. And he said, well, you don't bite the one who feeds you. And as I started to walk away, I turned around to him and I said, you know what? She's wiser than we are as humans. I share the story with you because I want to ask you to consider not biting the one who is feeding you. Believe it or not, we are responsible for who we attract and what lessons we attract in our lives. We are responsible and we ask for them. And instead of being upset at who is currently come into your life as a teacher to offer you spiritual growth, instead of being upset or wanting to bite or wanting to retaliate or wanting to get them back or hurt even over what lessons they are bringing forward, we need to stop and ask ourselves, why did I attract this into my life? And the reason that I'm sharing this is because too often we want to put the blame and responsibility on other people for what is actually intended for our own personal growth. I'll share something with you that happened to me when I was in France. My teacher decided that he did not want to teach me. I was going through a very difficult time being in France for 5 months. I was alone. I could not speak their language. I was struggling with feeling like I was enough. I was in my own way. I know that I was the canvas being stretched while I was over there learning. And that stretching of that canvas encompassed everything from my emotional life to my thought process to my limiting beliefs to even learning or believing that I might could be an artist. In the process of this teacher deciding that he no longer wanted to teach me, he was completely ignoring me in front of the other students. It was a very hard time for me. I had grown enough to the point in what I am sharing with you that even though it was painful and I was thinking about how much pain there was involved being in this foreign country, not knowing anybody, feeling isolated, not knowing what to do or how to get through this or how to fix my painting when I knew that something was wrong with it, I decided to ask the question that I had been taught to ask. Tammy, why did you bring this teaching, this man into your life right now? And I want you to know that when you take your focus off of what someone else is doing, when you take it off of what actions or behavior or how they're making you feel, and you start to ask the questions, why did I call you into my life? I recognize that you came here for a specific purpose to teach me. I attracted you. I brought you. When you start taking responsibility for what you bring into your life, it all changes and it just disappears immediately. And I want you to know that in the process of me asking those questions, I dealt with some very, very deep issues and started to see the truth about why I had attracted taking myself to France and studying with this guy who ultimately decided he didn't want me to learn from him anymore. I learned regardless. I learned, and he was my teacher in more ways than he will probably ever completely understand. It was a gift to me, and now I can honor him and honestly do namaste to him, honoring him for what he did in my life. Because of me being in that place and attracted those certain set of circumstances, I grew in ways that I could have never grown before. I'm asking you to do the same thing. Instead of looking at what your boss is doing, what your coworkers doing, what your spouse is doing, what your partner is doing, what test, what teachers, what professors, what anybody that is in your life is actually doing to you and how it feels, start asking yourself, why did I attract you? I'm going to take responsibility for the fact that I brought you here. When you do that, there is a releasing that happens. There is a freedom that happens. There is power that is taken away from that individual actually hurting you or causing you to change your behavior or to do things differently. When you can look at that person as a gift and look at them as feeding you something, then you do not bite them. You become very grateful for them. You become very much attached to a loving attitude with them, no matter what they do in the future. And I want you to know that as soon as I started getting that, not only were my paintings much, much better, and students were coming to me, even though he still was not helping me, I was getting the information through a totally different source. I was hearing it from my spiritual team. And learning that lesson through this artist by not helping me was one of the most beautiful things that's happened in my life. So now I know, as I am painting 2 commissioned pieces right this moment for a friend of mine in Florida, I am able to channel the artwork and ask my spiritual team, what do I do? What recipe do I use? How do I move my brush? Which brush do I use? What colors of paint do I use? And I'm telling you, the paintings are turning out beautifully. Don't bite the hand that is there feeding you. The people that are in your life, you have attracted in your life. So take responsibility for that. Second of all, ask your spiritual team, why did you bring them here so that you can learn the lesson? I swear I used to say many, many years ago, God, please let me pass this test, because I had a feeling that if I didn't pass the test, I was going to be given the test over and over and over again. Now that we know that the laws of attraction are one of God's laws, one of the most powerful of his laws, and we understand that we attract things into our lives just to learn, then we can actually learn from it. And I'm going to tell you this. As soon as you get this concept and you start taking responsibility for your life, all changes, and you then clear the way for you to learn whatever lessons, and then whoever it is that is doing these things in your life, simply ease out of the way, and they either turn around and they're very loving and they're very kind, which is what actually happened to the artist right before I left, or they completely walk out of your life. So until next time, this is Meditating Medium. You can reach me at transformingspacesllc@gmail.com, and namaste.